Hello, everybody, and welcome to Tipple Tuesday. Yay! So we're really like sort of, I would say like sort of a mini whiskey week. So Saturday, for those of you who don't know, Saturday is Whiskey Roadshow. So if you haven't gotten your tickets for that, I would definitely do so. They're gonna run out. We got, how many tables we got, G?
37.
37. Gio's working on them back there as we speak. He's building tables and he's putting stuff together. He's trying to figure it out. I made him work harder this week because I screwed around with who was coming. He hates me with a passion now. But we have that tomorrow night. We have Compass Box tomorrow night for those who are lucky enough to get a ticket to that. But tonight, I have Stewart Baxter with us.
Love to be here.
Yeah. No. Okay. So I'm a little confused, and maybe you guys can figure this out for me. Now I know. Well, Paulo's here today too.
Hey, bro.
Hodling and Company, right? So how is this? Are you guys the importer for all of their brands?
We are. So
But this is International Beverage, right?
Correct.
International. You work for International Beverage.
Yes. Yeah.
He's an international man of mystery. So watch out, ladies. And then, so these are all. This is your whole portfolio.
Not the full portfolio, but the full portfolio of Scotch.
Okay, great. All right, you know what? It's probably better than me yappering on. Just introduce you to it and then say, let's taste some whiskey.
Yeah, do you want to jump right in?
Yeah, sure. Why not?
Yeah, I mean, like,
Sure, why not?
It's absolutely fine.
Actually, I probably should point out that the first whiskey that we are going to try tonight was sort of a surprise. I'm like, well, why aren't we doing Lock and Key Society actually pulled a barrel? And you can explain what the companion cask is. But ours is barrel number 420, the mellow malt. It's 420. So why don't you explain that? You guys can drink the mellow malt, which is number one. So make sure that your tray arrow is pointing towards you. So that will make one all the way to your left on the bottom. And you can try that. Tell us what the whole concept behind companion cask for.
Yeah, actually, you should probably do a lot more of an introduction here because this is the first time that I'm actually sampling this liquid because we don't see it at home. Right?
Oh, that's right.
It's straight out.
Yeah,
because this is done via the market.
Okay.
Via the sales person.
Right.
It goes into the lab and comes straight to you. I don't get a chance to look at this. So this is sampled by the master blender. He does the tasting notes for it and it's straight out as opposed to the other bottles where we actually get a chance.
Well, then you know what? I'll let you try it.
No, I tried it earlier.
All right,
I'm gonna get stuck right in, but imagine this refill hobby.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it just says American Oak on the
Yeah,
or ex-bourbon on the
Yeah,
cast. So
ex-bourbon.
like, immediately, this natural colors though, right? 40,
Correct.
Show.
Correct. I think we figured what about 9 years old, I would say, something like that. I don't know if there's age on this.
There's no age.
It doesn't really matter.
I think it's closer to 6 or 7.
6 or 7. It doesn't really matter because
Yeah.
that's what it tastes like.
Immediately, this is a really good example of we were talking about this earlier. Is that color doesn't matter, age doesn't matter. It's about the liquid in the bottle. You know, it really is like. Do
You
like
can,
it?
you can play what we call that baseball. What's that?
Moneyball.
Moneyball. Call it Moneyball. Everything you can look at the stats of what it should be, but it doesn't matter until the liquid is on the lips.
No, 100%. And it really comes down to do you like it or do you not?
Right.
Like that inevitably for anything, if you can strip, I mean, I really, sales are going to hate me throughout this, but strip away the branding, strip away all of it, the liquid is the most important thing. But this is what I was going to say, is this is a really good example of pale color.
Mhm.
You know, so you're not expecting much as soon as you bring it to your nose. As soon as you do this, you nailed it down. Melon malt. Like absolute melon in flavor. There's loads of like lemon tart, and that's the thing I always get from the onset is that lemon meringue pie, but it's that kind of sweet pastry on the outside. For me, that's the first thing that kind of brings in a refill hoggy, especially for that age. That is the nose on it is absolutely spectacular.
This is such a, we're in New England, so I think are we in second fall yet? Third fall. Summer will be coming, in which the temperature will raise up a little bit and we'll get some sunny days. This whiskey for me is always a sunny day.
Perfect for that.
You know what I mean? It's one of my summer malts. It's got enough flavor into it. You could do whatever you wanted with it, but it's just one of those type of things. It's nice. It's easy drinking. There is some depth to it. It's not thin.
Not at all.
no, there is some nice depth to it, but it's, I don't know, it's just, to me, it's fun. It's a fun whiskey. We don't get, there's not a lot of dark flavors in it. It's not a little, it's not thin, but it's not weighty either.
No, not at all, but that's come down to the Munich spirit that we
Yeah.
introduced this flavor as well, which is really light floral style. So it was interesting to see that at 46 when we filled alongside, because as much as we all love alcohol, shouldn't I say that maybe as literal on recording the podcast, but alcohol is a great carrier of flavor. But of course, that completely depends on the Munich spirit and it comes from also the cask maturation as well. So 46, 48%, I would probably argue that's optimal for that. Any higher, I think you would kill.
Yeah.
Perfect bottling strength for that.
Yeah, I think you're right. And the joy about the companion cask is that's basically what they are, is what you're gonna get. So there's no like second guesswork. It's unchill filtered, no color added. So you're getting the true liquid out of the barrel.
100%, yeah.
What do you guys think of that one?
Stands out to breathe.
Yes. Yeah, it's a nice highball whiskey too, yeah. It has a lot of flavor though.
That's why it stands.
And it actually stands up, even just an ice cube though, it actually really stands up.
Yeah.
You'll notice a lot more of the citrus comes out with water.
It's incredibly versatile.
But I like this one a lot.
To your point, you can sip it all summer long. You can drink it now this time of year in the fall or whatever we're in. You can cocktail with it. It's incredibly versatile. It comes at a great price point.
$45. This is like $45.
That's such a steal.
Right, Chi, am I out of that one? 45?
Yeah, no, you're right, 45.
45. So,
That's a steal.
I mean,
The
I
only,
think
thing
all
that does
day.
that, the only thing that we got that liquid is controlled down to 46.
Yeah.
That is raw whiskey.
Yeah.
And I don't think we kind of get that across quite often enough, is that the natural filters, there's no wood chips in it. But it's not chill filters. There's natural flavor, it's natural, all the natural proteins and fatty acids exist and it's textures there.
I think with this one too, if you had chill filtered this, it would have lost that little bit of, that has that little bit of mouthfeel to it. It's that little bit of viscosity, it's not heavy, like I said, it's got enough viscosity that it's got like a hang time.
Absolutely.
That you would have lost that by chill filtering some of this. And other people would have been happy with that, but I just don't think you're gonna get the full effect of that whiskey.
No, I think that's perfect bottling strength and that's pretty special.
We like that one. That one's on, I think we're getting low on that finally.
Yeah.
Well, you know what it is? Here's the thing is that when Gio and I pick barrels and stuff like that, we always gauge it like we sort of know how long it's gonna take to turn or something.
Yeah.
Whiskey, especially even single malt Scotch doesn't turn as fast as a hot bourbon that's out. That will go. Some of them will go in minutes. Some we know will have in the next 6 months. When we buy even something like this that's $45, we know we're going to go. We get a lot of it too.
Yeah.
So we know that this is going to take a while for it to move through, and we're okay with that because we know that's a good whiskey to just have on the shelf for a while.
Yeah.
Anyways,
How many bottles did you get? It was in the high 300s.
it was up there. You remember?
Yeah,
It was up there.
Around 50 or so, 6 packs.
60.
Okay.
It was in the 60.
It goes to 60.
Yeah, 60, 66 or 360. So somewhere in there. Yeah.
No, that was just a good question.
That's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, that's not, no matter what, that's not gonna be my best seller.
Mhm.
But it's something that like a couple people discover it. They pick it up. They've been drinking it very nicely.
But it's so important because it gives us an opportunity outside of the core range to show off and say, this is the liquid that we're producing here.
Right,
coming out of
it
the
does.
cask.
No,
And
without a doubt.
shines a light on it.
All right, so let's dive into the real tasting.
No, it's all that straight. It's not.
So on your number 2 slot will now be the Speyburn 10. Speyburn 10, number 2 slot. See, different character. You're not thinking that's.
What was interesting when we said melon earlier,
Yeah,
the Stewart Baxter for me is just orchard fruit.
yeah.
Take what you want from it,
Little
whether it's
apple,
pear, whether it's
pear, yeah.
apples, but for me, it's red apple specifically, but it's just a big ball of orchard fruit. Entry level 40%, but it just gives you all of that sweetness, all that delicacy from Stewart and Munich spirit. And there's a touch of sherry cask in here, but I've always said it's fairly negligible. This is a bourbon cask matured for it.
Gee, I think you have that down as the 12, but that's the 10, correct?
Ooh, yeah, that is the 10.
Okay. No, I think we went to the 15, right? So we have.
Yeah,
We do have.
So I just want to make sure I'm right on the price on that too, G. Want to just, after just make sure the price, I got the 10.
I'll run a double check.
Okay, thank you, sir.
This along with Glenmorangie kind of one of those really good examples of sipping throwback session whiskey.
Yeah.
Where if anyone's trying to get into whiskey as well, it's a really good one for someone that just gets it and just
I mean, we're gonna try some other stuff tonight. We're not ageist here. You know, no one's an ageist, you know, where it's gotta have a thing. And I think like trying some of these whiskeys, we just had a Glenmorangie tasting last week. And we're grabbing, we of course we start with the 10. And it's just also nice to see that like people a lot of times, oh, it's 10. And they get that look on their face. And they go, wow, oh, you've drunk it now. No. Oh, okay. And how would you know?
Exactly.
Well, what's the face for? Well, it's only 10. Okay. I guess so, but what does it have to be good? Again, I don't know. I'd like to, if I get a 10-year-old and this thing tastes great, 10-year-old Scotch whiskey and it tastes great, and I'm not paying an arm and a leg for it, then I'm pretty good with that.
If your favorite whiskey is 40-year-old whiskey, tough.
Yeah, you're gonna be, yeah, not sure.
Absolutely scuffed.
Unless, you know, you get money to burn.
No, that's it. But if your favorite whiskey is a $20 whiskey, amazing.
Yeah.
Good on you. Great. Because if you're picking that up every single, maybe not every week. If you're picking that up regularly and it's a staple on your shelf and you love it,
Yeah,
more power to you. Brilliant.
I'll make sure. G, we all set them now, and that one is correct?
That is the right price.
Okay, so this is usually $31.99. So tonight, we're gonna run some specials tonight. I'm not gonna tell the Facebook people that they can buzz off. You could have been here tonight.
Well, it's a good.
It's only a
incentive.
Tuesday.
It's good incentive for them to come.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. We're gonna learn about the special deals.
It's a special deal when you come.
It's in the store for everybody who came in right now.
Exactly.
So I like those. That's another nice one.
Yeah.
What do you guys think?
I like that.
Like that one?
Yeah, this is another incredibly mixable.
A lot of times, old scotches aren't necessarily better.
Just because they're old doesn't mean they're better.
Yeah.
Exactly.
They're different, but not necessarily better.
Right.
Yeah, we worked the market together yesterday, we got through some accounts and we had that.
What was the aging process on this one?
What was the aging process?
So predominantly second fill bourbon cask. There is some sherry in there, but I just don't necessarily talk about it just because I think it's negligible. I think everything in there points towards bourbon cask flavors. There's maybe some slight tannic, slight dried fruits in there, but I'm spitting bush. It's about 5% refill sherry as well. I should have just said that.
What's the
Yeah, of that
alcohol?
much,
40%.
of that 5%, has it aged the entire length of the 10 years? For that?
Yeah, makes sense.
Or is it?
No, it's re-racked.
Okay.
So it's re-racked and finished for, I don't know, roughly 6 months to 1 year. So
Okay.
basically in terms of that 10-year period, it's not.
Right, so that's good. Yeah, nice little whiskey.
Yeah, it's good. I'm just going to speak to the distillery because that's kind of
Yeah,
why I'm here today.
sure.
Has anyone been to Stewart? Because we don't have a visitor centre, but we do. If you knock on the door, you can get in. There's a few people in
Let us in.
there. We are working at a visitor centre now, which is really good. But we have the largest still in Speyside. It's an absolute behemoth. I've got photos on my phone with one of my shorter colleagues after just to make it a little bit bigger. The largest still in Speyside. We produce about 4.6 million litres of alcohol per year. So for anyone to put that in perspective, your bigger players are looking at 22 million litres of alcohol per year, which is nothing wrong with that as long as you're consistent. There's nothing wrong with producing the scale, which is also great. We're at 4.6. It's the largest distillery within our group that produces. Worm tub condensation as well. I was going to make it a fact, but there's about 19 people that still use worm tubs. I know there's some geeks in here that might enjoy this. But across our total 405 distilleries, 4 of them use worm tubs.
Yeah, you have like a corner of the market on one.
It's crazy. And then Adult uses both because we'll get onto that.
No, we'll get into that. We'll get into Bruce's madness when we get there. But like, again, I think the problem is that there's not a huge name recognition with Speyburn, and it's been around a while. It produces a lot of whiskey.
Yeah.
It's actually sold in probably a lot of places, but is it big in the US at all?
It's huge in the US.
Yeah, it just, but it doesn't resonate in every market.
No, not at all. But it's obviously because up in the capacity of the distillery in 2016, there's definitely demand. But kind of speaking to the brand of the whiskey itself, is one of the most iconic distilleries in the world. I don't know if anyone knows Charles Doyle, but he invented the pagoda roof.
Yeah.
So that iconic pagoda roof, Charles Doyle was an architect that worked in Scotch whiskey. That pagoda roof was designed by Charles Doyle. Charles Doyle also designed the distillery. So part of the distillery, there's a photo, and one of the 10 has it. You'll see the full section of the distillery. So underneath our pagoda roof now is malt scale store, because everyone uses industrial malts. So that's an original pagoda roof, original floor. But underneath that, Charles Doyle installed the first drum malt. So these are they're in place today in industrial malting, where it's effectively a giant washing machine, but for malt. So you're germinating and drying at the exact same time. So we have the original design drum malt. It's favorite. So we are actually protected by the National Trust. So if we want to change anything, we can't. We have to work around that section there. But afterwards, I can point towards it. Yeah, so this section here, this is all where the drum malting sit all the way to the roof, and then you can access the pagoda roof as well. That's protected by National Trust. So in terms of the distillery, it genuinely offers a huge story. It's a massive part of the story of Scotch whiskey. It's not just another whiskey that we've thrown out there. It's a massive part. And the youngest, it's 1897, so it's just a part.
All right, well, let's, not the pup in the lineup.
No.
If you want to try number 3. Number 3 is the 15-year-old, correct?
Correct.
15-year-old Speyburn. Now, I'll beat you out to the punch. What's the casking and stuff on this one?
So this is 46% ABV, non-chill filled, natural color as well. So there's no caramel coloring added to this. The unique thing with this across our full portfolio is this is 15 years in sherry butts. I'm going to refill all of them sherry butts and 15 years in bourbon married together. So it's not, say, for example, when we move on to the 18, this is 14 years in refill bourbon, re-racked for another 4 years refill. But also this is 15, they're married.
So it's like a double.
Effectively, yeah. Like a lot of people refer to the double weights. This is about 70-30 split. So 70% bourbon, 30% sherry. In that respect. This is wonderful.
That's beautiful whiskey, isn't it?
So I'm glad we can get that into the range, because
it's
Speyburn 10 and Brad Norrie. I'm really glad that you got the companion cask, because it's a really good visibility of like a younger whiskey in general, like showing that off. But the Brad Norrie to 10, people taste them and they're very orchard fruits, very similar. And then they stop there, they don't go beyond it, and then you get to the 15 and 18.
The 15 has that, you know, it's got the wood, it's got a little bit of leather, it's got the red fruit, it's got so much else going on. So I almost want to describe it as almost a mahogany wood taste to it. I don't know how I don't really like mahogany, but it's in my head. It's just registered.
It's romantic, not practice.
It's not practice. It's rather ugly, a little weird.
But I know what you mean. There's in the best possible way, it's that kind of wood.
Yeah, it's a wood spice, but it's not spice. It's wood.
Yeah.
Without the spice.
Absolutely. And I'll make the argument, I said this yesterday as well, within the entire portfolio of Bubbling Imperial Spirits, which is much more than just the IBHL portfolio. This makes an argument to be the best value whiskey that I have in my entire portfolio. The quality to price ratio here is unbelievable.
How about $70? Right now is a really good buy, especially right now.
Yeah.
You know, shit, I said that, now it's gonna change.
Calculators are what's a 15% increase?
Carry the 2. But no, great. What do you guys think of this one?
That's
Very nice, really good.
Beautiful whiskey, right?
Yeah.
I like that a lot.
We've recently gone through a huge change in Speyburn. So Bobby Anderson has retired after 27 years with us.
Wow.
And it's interesting. So Bobby Anderson was our master distiller, and you rarely get to have the opportunity to have this change of guard. You know,
To be there for it.
You know, Malcolm up at Pulteney, he's been there 30 odd years.
Oh, yeah.
Gordon Bruce has been with us 20 plus years. So having somebody actually attack the grass with Bobby, I was like, looking forward to time, big smile on his face. He's never one for smiling. It's like, son played golf, this is great. You know, he couldn't stop smiling, but he loved that place. So we've now got a guy called Ewan Henderson. He's now taken stewardship of Speyburn. So he's our new master distiller. And Davey is our new assistant distillery manager. So it's a really interesting time for Speyburn. So a younger guy, he's a brewer by trade as well. So it's really interesting. The wash is where we make whiskey, right? And we can get to that later with not doing brews. That's where we make whiskey. So it's interesting to have someone that's a brewer by trade come into that space as well.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, watch this space. It's an interesting.
You know, we always say, you know, you know, beer is just whiskey that hasn't lived up to its full potential yet.
I use that all the time as well, it's great, right?
So, and so you guys have just gotten, I think the guys handed out something for everybody. We get one of those too? Okay, great. This is like, what is this, 3.5?
3.5.
3.5 tasting notes here. This is something a little bit special that you guys are getting tonight to try. But this is a new make from where?
So this is,
Pulteney, Old Pulteney.
so this I brought.
Before you
over-
guys get to try Old Pulteney and the things, you're gonna try what comes off the still.
Yeah, exactly right. So I have this in my bag and panicking coming through customs, but apparently it's all legal. I've recorded
You
it.
didn't burst into flames,
Oh,
Cinderella.
we're all good, right? So this is not a shot
It's not, yeah, I hope you don't
Not
shut
there.
this. Yeah, exactly.
in any way, shape or form. So I brought this over from Pulteney. So this is 69%. This is quite literally straight off the stove. Yeah. The reason I want to bring this over is that when we talk about Old Pulteney, everyone talks about maritime and saltiness, right? Which is absolutely true, and we'll go into that when we get to 12. But when people walk into Pulteney Distillery and they smell the new make for the first time, there's a lot of malt and grist in this as well in the nose.
Very sweet.
Hmm?
Very sweet.
Right? There's no saltiness because where we get the maritime flavour is through maturation. It's not at the spirit. The spirit is actually very fruity and sweet because we've got a lot of, we'll talk about the stills in a minute. But it's fantastic. So this is 69% straight off the still. So this is our whole heart. So I'm sure you all know your heads, hearts and tails.
Yep.
This is the whole cup. So immediately all of it. So it averages about 69%. And incidentally, is our filling strength. So that enters the cask at the same strength. Normally you'll see around 63.5, for example. Speyburn will do about 64% filling, but
Okay.
across Pulteney, Balware and Knockdo, we fill at 68.5%.
Great.
It's a really good example when we move on to 12. Do try and keep a little bit of this. I should have maybe said at the beginning.
What do you guys think though? You get sort of like, I also get the like, almost a raisin,
Yeah, I'm
you know,
not a white
like a
belt fan.
raisin, flavor to it.
So much.
Yeah, a lot of texture. A lot of
Use
texture.
it as a substitute tea cocktail.
What's that, Gene?
You can use it as a substitute tea cocktail,
Yeah.
it's like, so to speak.
Yeah.
I was at a tasting of Pulteney last week, and we had a little sample left. One of the bar managers wanted to bring over. It's one of the best bars in the UK, and we tried to make a whiskey sour with it, or a unique sour. The alcohol was just a bit too. It was tasty, but the alcohol just killed the whole texture and the flavor. It was just 69%. Just doesn't work in a cocktail. It tasted great, didn't feel great.
Yeah,
That's just one of those ones.
there's a little thing called balance and everything, so that's the problem.
There's more experimentation to be had there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You add a little bit of dilution there.
I just gotta keep it.
Exactly.
I was thinking more on the lines because of the flavor profile, it's more like a
Yeah, it's like
just a sugar with, what's that?
Daiquiri.
Daiquiri or something like on that line.
I mean, we have a whole.
I mean, you can only have one.
Pulteney pina
Right.
coladas.
Oh, Pulteney pina coladas.
We have all the ingredients upstairs, right?
Yeah, we do.
And bar down here.
Yeah, we do. What do you guys think about that, right? Something different? I don't know, who's never had new make before? You never had new make? That's great. So we picked it, you get for your first one, you got a nice one.
Unfortunately, this will never now become whiskey, because we're gonna. But this is now, that's literally what goes into the cask and becomes single malt, or any form of whiskey. But a lot of people are kind of baffled at how clear it is, but it is quite literally just clear. It's the same color as water.
Yeah, but don't confuse it.
Don't confuse me.
All right, so let's see what happens when you take that. Let's see what happens when you take that and you put it in a barrel.
Yeah.
Right? So we got we're talking about, so has anybody ever been to Old Pulteney? Got one over there, I have, Donna has. Not many people have, because it's a little bit off the beaten path, it's a little bit. It's one of the most northern.
It was the most northern mainland,
Right.
but it's not now because you've got Wolfburn, the better known one, but you've got a husband and wife team. You're looking up to John Gross, potentially the sign that there's Northern Point, and then you come in, but there's a husband and wife team that are building a distillery overlooking the sign. And without building the ocean, I don't think it's much further north than that.
There you go.
We've
That's
been
it.
beat now by a long way, by a long way.
There's something about the way that, that Old Pulteney sits in the town now and how it's integrated into the village.
You know the history behind the town in Wick.
A little bit, but not a lot.
So Pulteney, Wick didn't exist, it was Pulteney Town. So we were commonly called that we were named after a person. There was a guy called William Johnston Pulteney. So he actually commissioned the building of Pulteney Town. We were actually named after the town, like any other distillery, we're named after the place. But Pulteney Town sits on the south end of the bay. If anyone's at Google Maps, feel free to look up Wick and you'll see the section. So Pulteney Town's built at the south end of the bay. Wick was just a small fishing village of like 5 or 6 huts. And then it grew and grew because the herring fishing all down the northeast coast and down into England even was followed by the north all the way down. But it grew and grew and grew up to a point where we had about 1,100, 1,200 fishing boats in this tiny, tiny harbour. And Wick just encompassed Pulteney over a matter of time. But when you were at Wick, you'll have noticed the quarried stone for the buildings, they're all the same around the distillery.
Yeah.
But when you get to the north end of the bay, it changes to more, say modern, late 1800s, early 1900s. But it's a much different typical, it's like you pass a threshold and you come into Pulteney Town. So it really is, when you say nestled, we were quite literally built, where the town was built around the distillery. So we can expand outwards. We have gone up. Like you'll notice there's like different, more modern buildings at the top. It's because we've actually had to build upwards because we can't literally can't build out. But it's a wonderful distillery. Part of it is actually we sacrifice the chance of actually expanding our stills for energy reclaiming. So we have energy reclaiming across the whole distillery where we use the heat energy to furnace our heat 200 homes of hospital and care home in the village. So it's the Pulteney distillery is ingrained in that community. Malcolm wearing a distillery split in Pulteney Square, he grew up there. It's perfect. It's just one of those whiskies that can speak to you.
And as you're going up there, it's not a straight road in Scotland, it's sort of to start with. And then when you start going to Old Pulteney, you're like, we're going off a cliff here. I don't know when it's gonna happen. Everybody get to the left, because the cliff is on the right, and going up, it could be a little bit of a fun jaunt, let's say.
It's intense. Yeah. You get to probably Dornoch and you still got years to go.
Yeah.
Hopefully that was the next current.
No, what was that?
No, they'll clean the floor, don't worry about it.
But the one thing I wanted to say with Pulteney, just with the New spirit, is that we were talking about the maritime that we're kind of growing into over a while. And I wish I had a whiteboard. But you can imagine a graph where this is time and intensity flavor going up. So you have this constant increase of maritime flavor over time because we're breathing in that maritime flavor in the cask. All the liquid that you see Pulteney is aged at the distillery. So it's aged in the cask where the distillery. That's a constant increase. Of course, with cask maturation, as the liquid decreases in the cask to the age of share, you have this exponential increase. So even though an 18-year-old, and we'll see this in a second, the 18-year-old has more maritime flavor in it, but it's less accessible because the disparity is huge. So it's evolved so much more here. So for me, this is more salted caramel. The actual younger Pulteneys, you get more access to that maritime flavor. So the younger Pulteneys is more of that typical maritime briny saltiness that we would expect. And when people get to the 25-year-old, they go, this is not immediately what I expected. This is not like lychee, peach, and all these kind of stone fruits that, but it's not that immediate saltiness that you expect, despite there being more in it. But of course, that line, that maturation line going into the fight, it's just disappearing into the ether.
All right, well, speaking of which, let's go to number 4. This is the Old Pulteney, this is the 12, right? Yep, the 12 year. And this is one of those, again, sort of iconic base spirits of the Pulteney line that just sort of supports everything else, that just always a solid whiskey.
It's just there, right? It just hits the spot and
Yeah, and this entire conversation you're having now, it's terroir and whiskey. And I know that that's an argument that some people contradict, but that is where terroir is introduced to whiskey in my mind. It's in the barrel.
It's one of those old examples where literal geographical location affects the final flavor.
Absolutely.
What do you guys think of this one? So to get some of those other flavors that are going on,
Yeah.
like Donnie, you feel like you're scrubbing the deck?
Huh?
Feel like you're scrubbing the deck?
Not gonna
It's like,
scrub
you know,
any deck, barely scrub
Well,
my
I'm just
deck.
saying, it's you know,
You do get.
if you've been up to
Yeah, but
Wick,
you
it's like,
you do
it's
get
not
the
a sunny
cold.
day, it's like warm, dry, you know, beach weather.
It's a
Oh,
great margarita.
no,
Yeah.
there's no such thing as beach weather in Scotland.
Oh, yeah,
There is. It's just
there is, it's not no building.
It's subjective. People from Florida also don't think we have beach weather here in Boston, but we all go swimming.
It's
Wow.
the northwest
There
Michigan,
was-
those white sand beaches in Scotland, but yeah, the whole Billy Conning joke that, you'll notice as soon as it hits your groin, it's not the Caribbean.
Yeah, that's right. What do you think?
This is nice. There was a tour lady we had once in Scotland and she made the comment because it was pouring. It was like, welcome to sunny Scotland. And
Yeah,
she
it's
says,
pouring out.
but she says the plus side, I'm 82.
There you go. There you go.
Well, Stewart was telling me yesterday that he felt right at home with the weather we've been having the last few days here in
Yeah.
Boston, so.
It's like I never left. It's honestly the exact same weather. Actually, I arrived on Saturday and the sun was
Yeah.
blue skies. It's brilliant, and then it just, I was like,
Followed you.
I can only apologize.
Now we know.
Yeah.
Now we know who to
My
blame.
fault.
We
We'll have
know.
more of it tomorrow.
Oh, fantastic. Great.
Yeah.
I'm leaving tomorrow.
Sunday, the next day will be great.
That's why we can be asking about it.
Yeah, that's why I was gonna say.
You
All right.
They paying us back for the time we went to England and the hurricane chased us from
Oh, God.
Boston to England.
No,
Yeah.
these hurricanes.
I'm bringing it back right
again.
Yeah.
What do you got? So
We got stuff, we couldn't go to open that.
you guys want to try the 18th?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. Why not?
Sure. We got nothing else to do.
So the 12-year-old, sorry, just to let you know, is all second, well,
Well, I think it's good to try
predominantly.
the 18, the 12 back and forth too, but.
But the 12-year-old is all bourbon cask aged, predominantly second fill. There are some first fills and third fills in there, but it's 90% plus second fill on the inspection. Butler, only 18 is 14 years in refill bourbon, same concept casks as well. Then re-racked into refill Oloroso sherry casks again. Yeah, it's 46% non-chill filtered and natural.
You gotta remember too, a lot of distilleries don't do full maturation at the distillery, and this one is.
Wait, just to clarify, it's the 18 that's mostly second fill or the 12?
Both for the bourbon cask side of things, it's predominantly second fill for both. So the 18 are the exact same concept casks for 14 years instead of the 12. And then the 18 is re-racked into all those sherry butts, which are again predominantly second fill. Again, it's the first fills, but I don't leave that out, so I don't have to explain it. But here's me explaining why I leave that out to not explain it. Cool.
Well, the sherry is not overpowering.
It doesn't have an overpower
Very
sherry,
light.
of sherry, but it's there.
It's nice, you
Yeah.
know it's there.
But that maritime flavor completely
It's not as-
not disappears. I don't think
No.
because it's constantly increasing
But it is
along with
soft.
the maturation, but it's soft. It's evolved. It's changed.
I think
It sounds like the same thing when we talk about, I like to, which a little off topic, but we talk about like peated whiskeys, right? So the younger peated whiskeys, I think, show like the sweetness. And as we get older, peated whiskeys, you get more of that earthy sort of tone, the sweetness sort of goes away and something else takes over. And I think the maritime, even though it's solid, the other stuff starts muting it. The time, the other casts, stuff like that, mutes it a little bit.
Yeah.
It's not something that's so powerful like getting peated, that's just gonna show through. And then that changes, the maritime stays the same.
I think your descriptor of self-account is spot on.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just that evolved, the sherry comes into it, and then that maritime just pulls through. It's still there, but it's just evolved and we're kind of combined with all the different profiles coming through.
Excellent.
I don't know if anyone knows why we have the shape of the bottle the way we do. No,
So still,
Oh,
still.
still.
Yeah.
So
Do you get free drama or you get what's that?
he gets to stay for the rest of the tasting.
He has an extra percentage point.
I get
That's
that.
it, yeah.
Okay.
That's it,
Yeah, there you go. So it's stills, but I don't think the bottle actually does it justice. We've got it's the boil ball, but it's, boil balls is not a new thing in whiskey distilleries. We've seen them multiple times, but our boil ball could comfortably fit a family of 3 for at least a few days. Like it is huge. As soon as you walk into the storeroom, it's called the smuggler's kettle. It's right there, but it doesn't quite end with just the boil ball. The flat top is also part of our still. So
Something goes out. Yeah.
we installed it. Normally, you've got these beautiful swan necks on top of stills, and because that's.
It almost looks like it's not gonna fit, cut it. With the alarm,
Literally that,
yeah.
So you normally have that kind of beautiful swan neck because physics and vapor likes to follow a natural curve, but we decided no, we can't fit it in because it was too tall. So we chopped the top of it off and bolted the line arm on the side. But that was way back in the early 1900s. But that actually changed our spirit style because instead of following this swan neck right, it hit this flat top. And like anything, any condensate that hits a flat top, it just starts dripping. So instead of having the energy to go around it, it just had to get lighter and lighter and lighter. So what we ended up going, what we would have gone from, obviously I wasn't alive when I meant to taste it, what we would have gone from was a heavier, oilier base spirit, which would have been fairly heavy and oily, to a much lighter tropical lead. And that's exactly what you're tasting just now, is that tropical pineapple mango style fruit that you wouldn't have gotten cutting the top off the top still. But once we did it, Malcolm tells the story that once we actually chopped the top off, I think it was 3 months later, we raised the roof.
Because why not?
Right, why
Because
not? What a happy accident, right? So we literally raised the roof up so we could fit more equipment in. So we didn't actually have
That's
to
a
chop
chuckle.
the top, but yeah.
Hey, where's that piece? Oh, we threw it away.
So basically,
That's what, it's like when you finally throw that thing away in the junk truck, you've been saving it for like 10 years, you throw it away, and then the next day you go, oh my God, I could have totally used
Yeah,
that.
exactly.
so you basically created a reflux still by accident.
We basically,
Yeah,
we
reflux by accident,
increased
yeah.
reflux. Yeah, it would have just been like, right, we need to distill it. Back then it wasn't, we didn't have the marketing or anything around it. It was purely from a production point. And so it was purely just to kind of get whiskey flowing and therefore money coming in. And yeah, it was a happy accident, I guess, because the spirit for me, really. But during that time, we actually had a longer period of prohibition than you guys up in Wick. I don't know if anyone knows that. We had 27 years of prohibition up in Wick. And we were still operating during that time, but we couldn't sell it. There was no roads to Wick until the 1920s, so we were, people were definitely drinking. There wasn't much else to do about prohibition. But we had about 27 years of prohibition all the way through World War II.
But it never stopped the drinking.
I shouldn't really say that, sorry, but probably.
I'm sure those fishing fleets didn't transport.
Yes,
No,
exactly. Fishing fleets were all fish.
You guys are young, we were very wealthy fishermen.
Yeah.
Everything that comes with that would have happened.
Yeah. All right, so I think it's neat if you saved a little bit of the 12 and the 18, so do a little like compare and contrast type thing with them.
Okay.
And even see what the unique start like, it's-
Yeah.
that's it, that's the NC, and it's 12 years, 18 years in those casks.
Let's keep this. And now the next one, we're gonna try one of my favorite distillers.
I have such a soft spot for
Yeah.
Gordon too.
It's Gordon's. Gordon Bruce is just
They're all
those
done.
guys. It's just, it's sort of I have to say this, it's not like, there's a lot more people, they get a lot more notice and recognition.
Yeah.
But I don't think there's many people who do it better.
No, I've had the pleasure of working in whiskey for quite a while across different countries, and Gordon is. Don't tell Malcolm Jolly. It's like
No one watches this, don't worry about it.
All of our distillers are genuine geniuses, and Gordon loves that distillery more than life itself. Like he lives across the street from it, he would take a bullet for it. He doesn't care who's paying the bills as far as he's concerned. It's his distillery. And you really feel that from him. Anything that you can tweak and make it better, more efficient.
Some of the stuff he's done there is just like,
He's
like
sustainably
groundbreaking, like
Yeah.
green, you're talking about green. And doing green stuff to make the efficiency and the footprint less of the still.
It's amazing.
Of
We
the
use the
distillery.
water 7 times before it leaves the distillery for different aspects of the distillery, so heating, cooling, mashing, all of these different things. I'm actually not sure of every single one, but it's 7 times. Gordon talks about that we use the water before it actually leaves, or we purify it and put it back into nature. It's amazing. Like Val Blair, we have a family of otters living in the outcrop in Loch. Which John loves, because it's Val Blair drinking to save the world.
There you go.
But not do the same. We have algae growing right where the water comes out of the still with like really fresh green algae, because it's just pure water that we're putting back out into nature. It's amazing. It's brilliant.
So for most people, so explain the name thing with about the distillery.
So
I think it's important.
It is, it's very important. So we are Knockdhu Distillery. That's the name of the distillery. So if you go to the distillery, do refer to it as Knockdhu. So Knockdhu is the black hill. So Dhu being black and Knock being black. Anarch is so Anarch is the brand name. Knockdhu is the distillery. So much like Singleton and Glenord. Singleton's the brand name, but Glenord is the distillery that produces Singleton. So you'll have heard of Knockhandhu Distillery.
Yes.
So the Azures lawyers are bigger than us.
Yeah. No, that's pretty much it.
No, we were a much younger distillery, so we're 1894. So it was a gentleman's agreement that once the marketing started, people actually started selling it for more profit. It was a more gentleman's agreement to agree that we call it Anarch. And that giant big C, capitalized C in the middle is silent. Who chose that? Little letters and a giant C that's silent. So it's-
Why?
Hmm?
Why? Because it's Scottish.
Yeah. We've been trying to trip
Why?
them up for years.
Listen, I'm a part of the English language, right? I mean, in the word Q, the U and the E are silent.
Brilliant.
Yeah, right. Why do we have to use 2 more letters? I don't know.
It's like tsunami, where's that T in the front?
Yeah, but, no.
So Anok is the name of the brand. Knock Do is the name of the distillery. Yes.
This is my first time ever having it, so like, where is it?
It is just east of Elgin, so it's actually, in terms of the invisible line of Speyside and Highlands on the east side, it is it's like half a mile away from Speyside. So it's central in terms of on a x-axis to Speyside. It's fairly central in the whole demographic of it, but it just sits half a mile outside of it. So we're a Highland whiskey. There's a few things to talk about in terms of style. The nose is, we talk about being very Speyside in typical styles. It's quite floral and fruity. But the viscosity, it was actually interesting seeing the blue wine we've got and the kind of stuff like that. Anok sits on heavy, because most people smell it and immediately start talking being very light. But in terms of the body, it's a heavy spirit.
What he's talking about is we have the metro station map down there. See if we can come down to the metro station. We have a map that's sort of based on the London tube, but it's actually a blending chart. And where distilleries sit in the tube or the line that they sit in actually corresponds to the type of whiskey it is, whether it's a medium light or heavy A or B. It sits on there, so you can come down here and sort of look and see where your favorite whiskey sort of sits in the field.
Yeah. That's what I said. It's Anok it sits quite rightly. It's like as a liquid, it's very heavy liquid. But the nose would indicate otherwise. The nose is very light and floral.
So you see that one's way down on the left, on that dark blue line. And the dark blue line is Group 1, heavy A. It's a heavy A.
But Not Do is it's a fully manual distillery, completely manual. And Gordon's attitude towards this, he's done stewardship at a couple of distilleries that are automatic, and there's nothing wrong. Like, I'm not going to sit up here and say one is better than the other. It's just different ways of making spirit. Arguably, an automated distillery is better because it's consistency of unique spirit, right? Arguably. But Gordon's done stewardship of distilleries that have automated systems, and he said people come by and it's like, speaking to the operators, like, I need to fix that valve. Can you take me around to see it? And the operator goes, I don't know where it is, because they will sit in front of the computer and just push buttons, they don't know what it is. So Gordon's whole ethos, and anyone that comes to the distillery and his boys, as he affectionately calls them, they're the ones that make the whiskey. They need to learn how to make whiskey properly. So the guy started 10 months ago, John, 10 months ago, did a 12-hour shift and 25,000 steps. One operator every shift to run the whole distillery. 25,000 steps in 12 hours, and it is not a big distillery. I'm not saying that it's like even this size. Like, in terms of
It's running up and down stairs now.
It's tiny. So he's running to the still room, into the mash plant, like all the way back, and make sure everything's running properly. Tiny little geographical area, and he is running back and forward because it is fully manned. He has to turn all those valves himself, but they learn the trade of distilling.
Yeah, absolutely. So what do you guys think of Anok?
Very nice.
I like this. We had a fabulous time visiting with them. It's just lovely, and some of the we were in with it when they were doing the whole peated tools line.
The Raskin and everything.
Yeah, the Raskin and all that stuff was really interesting.
It's good, but like if you won't just like come across Not Do, like you don't just like stumble across it. It is a side road off a side road off a funnel. Like it is.
You have to know where you have to go where you're
going.
going.
We don't have a visitor centre, but again, if you just turn up, if someone's free, they love that distillery more than life itself. They will show you it because they're so proud of it. We had in 2013, we had our Dunnage warehousing destroyed by snow. The snow sat and killed it. And Gordon rebuilt it, but you got a stained glass window put in the front of the pagoda. So it's like church. You go in there and it's just everything lined up, and it's just like there's something really religious about it. With all this whiskey just aging in casks.
It's fabulous. It really is. It's a little special place that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Really is. If you get a chance and you go off the beaten path, you go down the farmer, and you find Gordon, it'll show you around, and it's actually, you'll see how special it is, because it is not as special as.
It really is, it's stunning. And the dogs all float around, there's 11 dogs at the distillery at any one time. And I've got great videos to show you, I can't do it just now in this format, but yeah, they just follow around, and there's 11 dogs that float around, and you know that distillery better than
There you go. All right, good whiskey. Now the next one we're gonna do is, this is sort of a, I don't wanna say, is a relaunch, I don't know if it's a relaunch. I think it's what we're getting here for expressions now in the States.
Yeah.
About that.
Yeah, so it's 2019, I relaunched what was there.
Yeah,
I think that's,
okay.
yeah, that's a fair word. Like I've kind of been watching my tasting for how to actually say it. I relaunched what was there, I think there. Badly, we did vintages for a very long time. Most people know them. We're talking about the 1990.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, we were talking about 1990. That's yeah, I said this joke in England. 1990. Last time I opened the 1990 was when Scotland beat England in the Calcutta Cup. And I messaged, I emailed John, our master distiller, and I said, just crack this. Me and my dad are jumping around the lounge, watching it, and I just emailed John. He's a big rugby fan. I said, I've just opened the 1990, and I've just opened the 1989. So I picture him back home. But yeah, so we had the vintage for such a long time, and they were brilliant. And each bottle was stunning liquid. However, there was zero consistency. So the big Charlie Clayton did a huge talk about like consistency is your friend, and that's across not just liquid, but across marketing as well. With this, with 12, 15, 18, and 25-year-olds, it allows you to pick up all of that layer and know that that liquid is going to be
Right.
consistent every single time. You're going to get that flavor profile. The 89 was stunning, but it was so different to the 99. The 95 was so different to the 2000. But as much as those liquids were brilliant, there was no consistency across the board. So now, post the big C word that we're not talking about, trying to happen. But post that, we're now actually having discussion internally that we can, do we bring back vintages? Do we bring back limited editions? Do we do cast strength stuff? Do we do your cast finishing?
And the answer to all that is yes.
So it's just now we're having those conversations because we can't, you know, it's.
So you're creating a base spirit that you can pick up and it's consistent. Now you can have, you can have these little side projects. And, and you can put out a limited edition and no one expects it to be the same as the next.
No, not at all, exactly,
Right.
because at least you can go back and go,
Right.
you know, I love the 15, I love the 12, and that's
Right.
still a mission.
You know, you're gonna be able to find it. It's gonna be available. You
Well,
have
we'll
no price
see.
point, you get another consistency of the spirit.
We'll see. Still too new for me to give you that run of the house.
If you don't mind, I'll hijack these last two and we'll do a kind of comparative with these.
Yeah.
The reason being is like the big win that we had internally, that was a really, really important win, is the entry level for this is 46%, so 12-year-old. This is across the 50, the 18, 25. 46% non-chill filtered and no caramel colouring at all. That is across the full range. That sounds like a kind of low win, but that creates such a precedent that anything that we ever release from Balblair will never fall below 46 unless it does so naturally. And we're talking about 45, 50 years old. It will be non-chill filtered and it will never contain caramel colours. So that sets that benchmark and nothing will ever fall below those rules, those laws.
Yeah.
Balblair. But with the Balblair 12 and the 15, this is, I'll just say the reason that we're going to do a comparative is that the 12-year-old is the exact same concept as the 15. So we'll have X amount of casks, it'll be 12. The Y amount of casks are going to go toward the 15. The only difference between those two liquids, the 15 goes into first fill Oloroso sherry casks for a further 3 years. And the great thing about being natural colour is that you can actually see the impact those sherry casks have had on that. You can actually see where it's gone.
Try the 15. Try the 15. So I'm pressed that. I'm getting something else. My glass. Not getting anything.
That is the idea, but
Could be me, it's late in the day.
yeah,
And it could be me, it's late in the day.
no, I'm trying to find it.
There's a little bit of high point just after the first sip.
Is that the other 15?
This is,
Yeah, let's do that.
Let's do the back, you can see that.
yeah, let's try that.
John, would you guys mind pouring another 15 for everybody?
Yeah.
Oh, gee, but two, that's good.
I'm telling you right now, we'll try it.
Yeah.
Intermission.
Yeah.
Talk to us next time. We have this after the 12 anyway.
But the 12-year-old is a really good example of utilizing casks in a very practical way.
Yeah.
Cause like, there's a few issues I have with the casks, like when we say refill could be anywhere between 10 still or second. Right, refill could mean anything.
Right.
Like, we say refill cast, that could mean the second time that cast is filled, or the 10th time that cast is filled. So it's probably 10 that the commanding effect.
How small are your batches?
Well, that's sort of a personal question. How small are your batches, sir? So I don't think they really have to ask that, but I guess.
Batches are fairly small at that layer. The reason being is we have capacity for about 1.7 million litres of alcohol. We only produce about 1.45. So we deliberately produce quite a low amount.
Quality control. Quality control, yeah, control. It's the new 15, so this.
It's not in this.
Yeah, it's not sure.
See it? Tastes 100%. Yeah.
Is that better?
Yes, better. Yeah. So here's the thing, what we were talking about up here is there was I would say it wasn't like overwhelming. It was nothing that I would have ever thrown a whiskey away for.
No.
But there was a slight corking of that one. Now, the cool thing, and this is a good time to point this out to people, is that when this happens to you at home and you get a cork, don't throw the bottle away or bring it back right away. First of all, I don't want it. I can't drink it, so I know, but take the cork out and let the bottle breathe, maybe even overnight, and don't put that cork back in. Put another one back on to cap it. But try it the next morning and try it, because unlike wine, there is a possibility. It's not a definite, but there is a possibility that it'll go away. I've seen it go away. So it's one of those type of things. If it is, and it's like this slight little bit, it's usually just sitting in the cork, and it's sort of like contaminating everything. But when you take that away, the whiskey has enough alcohol and everything else that the corking, whatever's causing that sort of corking part goes away. You know, this happens. We're dealing with, basically, I know it's distilled, we're still dealing with natural cork. We're still dealing with other elements that can come into play. So, anything can always happen. We used to taste stuff and they used to come back and all of a sudden I was like, no, we'll take your word for it, here's another bottle. Because people do some weird stuff, they don't taste anything anymore. But it is important to realize that, like, I think that one's very slight. I would actually take that home and open it up and see if it was there the next day, because it might not even be there.
I'll try that experiment out.
Yeah. You'll sacrifice yourself and throw, thank you.
Bringing it home anyway.
It's an interesting one. I wrote an article on this like not too long ago about like what can happen to liquid, and like that happening is rare.
It is
It's
rare.
absolutely rare. Like
It is rare.
I have to say that's my first ever.
It's hugely rare. And I have people like, oh, I get it all the time. I go, no, you don't. You do not get it all the time. Stop that. I mean, you might have it. That's why I say like this. That's why I don't trust my palate this late in the day. If I was doing barrels or I was doing something else, this is not the typical time of the day I would try it, because we're after 6, I've had breakfast, I've had lunch, I've probably had tea, coffee, and everything else in between. I don't usually do that. I try to drink in the morning.
That was not subtle to my palate.
No, it wasn't subtle at all.
Well, that's why I'm thinking sometimes it's me.
No, I thought the same thing, I'm like, wow, holy cow, what's wrong?
So.
Well, I'll take part of the blame on this one too.
No, I was gonna say the two are very good,
I had my
but
bag
I
of
didn't
milk
realize.
yesterday,
Yeah,
and that
that's
bottle
what
was
that
definitely
was.
on
I would
the
go
laying
like that.
outside, so it could be more contact.
Yeah, but I mean,
This-
like stuff happens going west. I mean, but now that we do have a proper 15 in there,
Yeah, that's my.
that red fruit, that
The
that
15
explodes,
absolutely
it's
favorite
like
than all the others.
really starts exploding on that, right? And it's there, it's beautiful. This is a beautiful, I gotta tell you guys, most of the time when everybody has this huge lineup and they have like 18s, 21s, and they have 10s and 12s, I almost wanna say like 90% of the time, I like the 15 the best.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. It's just, everybody always goes, what do you have that's the oldest? What's the most expensive? And I like some of the younger whiskeys that are like, like you said, like 9, 10 years old. But there's something about that age range for a lot of Scotch whiskey, that 15 sort of like really nails it.
Yeah, for me, a lot of the time it's kind of like the maturation's coming in, but you can still see
It's that cross section, it's out of that cross section. You don't lose the malt. The distillate doesn't, it's still there. It doesn't turn into this older thing, the distillate's still there. And, but you get a lot of that, just those richer, deeper flavors.
Yeah.
And I don't care if it's just all, you know, like, let's say it's all bourbon cask, that's fine. It still does, it's different.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
And by the way, it's no slouch either. It's just a different flavor. I mean, it's no slouch.
Second one, that pour is like really good.
Yeah, I'm sorry, once you guys get the whole back, because I think it's a cracked whiskey. I really do. I know it's-
Another example, we age all the distillery, all liquids age through distillery as well.
Really?
Yeah.
At Bel Blair, really? I didn't know it had that much capacity.
Well, it's a decent capacity, but it's also like the volumes we do are pretty small.
Yeah.
The volume's pretty
I didn't think
small.
of it that way.
Like, we deliberately do it, one of the reasons that we do to answer the question here a bit further, the reason we do 1.4 million litres, despite the fact having capacity of like 1.6, 1.7, is that we do everything pretty low and slow. So fermentation time is not like crazy long, like we're not doing anything crazy long. And even now in modern day, like yeast is dying so early on that what you're aiming for is those acids to get kind of pumping through, right? So we're not doing it crazy mega long. The longest process is our distillate, so actually distilling liquid, and also the drainage of the wort pre-fermentation. So for anyone that doesn't know, wort is barley and water. All up to this point, it's just barley and water before we add the yeast. So wort is it's a horrible word. It's a little horrible word, it's Scottish, anyway, WORT, and it's just sugary liquid. So when you're draining the mash, you can do it really fast and end up with a kind of cloudy wort. It's not better or worse, it's just different. That gives you quite nutty flavors. So we do a fairly fast run of Speyburn, so you get a bit of nuttiness in it.
Okay.
And with Albert, we do it almost excessively slow. So you end up with a very clear, transparent wort. And what that translates to is tropical mango flavors all the way through the distillate. And that's the reason that we did the Brit 12-year-old. What I was going to talk about is the cask maturation. There's only 2 distilleries that I've actually tried to wash and genuinely enjoyed it. It's Glenmoyne and Albert. I mean, could drink a half pint, but you shouldn't.
No, dude, okay, so I'm gonna.
It'll be good for what
Hours of water,
Please.
do not drink. Did you say a pint?
Half.
Oh, a half pint. Well, so now we're doing only to like about 8 ounces, so even that, unless you want to see Scotland behind the door.
Exactly. It is not fit for human consumption. Like when we're making whiskey, we're making a beer that's designed to be distilled. We're not making a beer that's designed to be consumed.
Right, drink.
Like, but the wash is, let's be drinkable, it's tasty, right?
It is tasty.
Because normally the wash that you'll taste, if anyone's done that science experiment at school where you kind of promote fermentation and yeast and it has that horrible smell, like that's normally what you expect. That's fine, there's nothing wrong with it, it's just what you're looking to distill. But Balboa and Glengoyne, genuinely the wash is drinkable. I shouldn't say too much, but that's the reason that we're very proud of the wash, we're very proud of the spirit, and the 12-year-old is a really good example, and by extension, the 15 and 18 are really good examples of using casks tactically. So first fills are great, and that's what we're going to talk about. If you've got the label as a stave, and this is the inside of the cask, and that's the outside. A first fill, if you age it for 20 years, you're going to get really deep into the food, and that second fill is only going to be here. So you need to ask more questions, I think, about first fill, second fill, third fill. Because if you do first fill for 5 years, you won't take that much in stave, and then you've still got all of this left to take from second, third, and fourth fill. So if you've got first fill, say for 30 years, if you're using the second fill of that cask, you're not going to get the same impact of a second fill of a cask that was aged for 5 years.
So I think a good way to look for it, and I always just say parts per million because it's just easier for everybody to understand.
Yeah.
So if you put something in a cask that's already held liquid, so that first one had 100%, right? You had the 100%, it was in there, you took it out, like it's sherry.
Yeah.
You took it out, okay, that's gone. When you fill it the second time, that was the first fill with the sherry. I'm gonna do it the English way. So this would be the second fill, we call it the second fill, but it's first fill. It's how you count.
First time it's filled with Scottish spirit.
First time it's filled with Scottish spirit, that's the first fill, right? So that sherry's already out of it. So you're gonna get half. So let's start with 100.
Yeah.
100 parts per million.
Bless America, you guys haven't to use it only one time with the cask.
There we go. But what I'm saying is you're gonna get out of that spirit that was in there before it, whatever it happened to be, let's say it was sherry, you're basically, it's gonna get an equilibrium. You're gonna get half of it out. That's it. You can get time and everything else, but you're only getting half it out. Then you take that liquid out, and you put another liquid in. Well, now you're down to 50.
Yeah.
So now you're only gonna get 25 out. You take that out, you put another one in, you're only gonna get 12. And it's a diminishing return on what you're gonna get out of that cask, and sooner or later, that cask is pretty much neutral.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, no, to a really good extent. There's a great Samaroli bottle that I got gifted for Christmas. It's a 13-year-old Highland Park, and it's filled with flavour, but in terms of colour, it's non-distinguishable between water. Like I really wish I had a photo of it, but you might be able to find it online, but it's almost like water. It's 13 years it's spent in a refill hogshead, and it's probably going to be 5th, 6th filled. But it's so much flavour in it. It's wild, but it's non-distinguishable between water. There's barely any colour in it at all. And again, it's a really good example of, casks are kind of like tea bags, but they're much more predictable.
Right.
But going back to that topic, sorry, the way that we introduced this was it's not looking back at first fill being superior, because that's not true. It depends what your objective is with that liquid. And the objective for this was to see that unique spirit for as long as possible. So we put it into 2 different ex-bourbon barrels, so casks. Every barrel's a cask, not every cask is a barrel. So we did DCRC barrels, so that's dechar, rechar barrels. So stripping the char away and then recharring it a little bit deeper. And then the other one was a refill hogshead. So it's actually called the 4th time that wood's been used. And everyone immediately thinks, oh, that sounds inferior, that sounds poor. But if we threw that unique spirit into first fill bourbon, sure, it'd be great. But you're going to lose that split distillery character very, very quickly. Whereas the objective with this was to see that as long as possible. So hopefully you've seen that in it, but it's low impact casks, so that it's a much.
It's the maturity of the spirit, not the flavoring of the spirit.
Exactly. So the other reason is when we put it into first fill Oloroso for 15 and 18, it's handling that. It's like taking the spirit to the gym. It's like strengthening up. So when you put that weight on it, that first fill, it can handle it. It's already established itself a little bit.
Now I'm gonna say something right now, I need more. But anyways, if you go back to that 15-year-old now, because we opened the bottle, right? And we sort of let it sat there for a while. At first, I was getting like this, about a couple sips ago, I was basically getting like almost a cherry wood flavor to it. And now I'm getting almost a chocolate, almost mocha sort of flavor with like just a fruitiness to it now. It just has changed. It's just changed.
Like
It's like
chocolate
that.
here.
What's that?
Chocolate temperature.
Yeah, maybe, yeah, something in that range.
I adore it. So many people talk about
That's different.
the 15 and 18, like there's not a huge colour difference between them. The 18 is 14 years in refill bourbon. Same concept cask again for 12. This is the foundation of everything. It's so important to try this to understand the full range. And 4 years of first fill Oloroso, and everyone thinks that the colour differential is huge. But the reason for that, and even the 25-year-old, there's not massive colour differentiation, is because we're using first fill Oloroso sherry as opposed to say refill. You have this in terms of a colour explosion. You were talking about it. The impact of that first fill is huge because it's all Oloroso. You still got that mingling in there. So you have this jump in colour, and then it'll slowly start increasing. Whereas if you go from a refill, you have this constant slow increase. But with any first fills, specifically exports, wine, sherries, you have this jump up in a very short space of time, and then it'll start slowly taking on the colour of the wood, as opposed to that slow increase from the very beginning of the second.
What do you guys think of the 12 and 15 color?
Yeah.
Pretty nice, right?
Yeah, it's very good.
It really
The
did.
mouthfeel of the 15 was wonderful.
The mouthfeel on the 15 is spectacular. Yeah, it's really good.
Personal favorite.
I think that's now become mine.
So the location that just around the corner from a small distillery called Glenmorangie, famous.
The rhymes with orange.
So we're just as Glenmorangie's right on the kind of the curve of the road on the Dornoch Firth. You hit a roundabout. Normally, you would have probably driven up it. Actually, you would have driven up it. So normally turn right on that roundabout across the bridge because that takes you north. But if you continue straight on that roundabout for 6 miles, just
Means a rotary.
oh, sorry, roundabout. But the symbol, the one thing I
don't go it the right way, I go it the wrong way. Trust me on that one.
The symbol on the front of this is one. This story does not affect whiskey in any way at all. It's just a story, but it's the symbol that we have in front of this. There's a Pictish stone. I don't know if anyone knows what Picts are. Yeah, the original inhabitants of Scotland.
Yeah.
So there's a Pictish stone that sits outside the distillery that's estimated to be 6,000 years old. and it sits right beside. And on that, and please Google this, Standing Stone and Editing. And if you Google it, you'll see this quite clearly. The symbol that's carved on it is estimated to have been carved 4,000 years ago. And it's one of those moments where you stand in front of it, it's that here at the back of your neck thing. But that symbol's carved actually to complete accuracy. Someone asked me in a tasting not long ago, how did it get such straight lines and perfect circles? And honestly, I have no idea. I'm not an archaeologist, I don't have that knowledge, but the estimation for it is that it's the sun and the moon in passing. And the Z road is an estimation of life, continuation, and inevitably death. But we've got brown marks on the stone, and we realised the cows have been scratching themselves because they don't care about history. So
Cows are indifferent to that.
they just don't care, do they? Ruffians. But we've now erected a fence around it, just so they don't get in and knock over a 6,000 units. But what's really impressive is that you're going to the distillery, that's on the left-hand side, but on the right-hand side, where we don't, I take people there, but the team don't tend to take people there. All overgrown is the stones that actually match up with the strewn hills that surround the distillery. And each of those stones match up each point on each hill, and that's how they were tracking the star system in months.
Oh.
It's all overgrown, but you can still see where the stones are. And
Yeah.
and when you stand at a specific point, you can see each point of each of the stones matches up with each of the hill points.
That's awesome.
Again, it doesn't affect the whiskey, but
All right, time to take a trip.
wonderful,
I
wonderful.
want to see stones, right?
Yeah.
Drink some whiskey and see the stones. Or see
Absolutely.
stones and drink whiskey. I'm not sure which. First of all, I want to thank you, Stuart, for coming here today and showing us. The price list, just because I saw the stock. The Old Colby 12 is $50, the Old Colby 18 is $149, $150. The Val Blair 12 is $70, the Val Blair 15 is $120, which is a great price as far as I'm concerned. The Enoch, the 12 which I didn't get to, was also $50. So if you're looking for those great prices on some of these whiskeys, I want to thank everybody on Facebook for joining us today. I'm going to end this recording and then we'll get into something else.
I will tell those watching that if they're not here today and they're now intrigued to try these, I will have most all of, not all of these open on Saturday at the roadshow.
Oh, that's great. Whiskey Roadshow, 6 o'clock on Saturday, yeah. So if you haven't bought a ticket, the ticket is by the way, it's a $25 gift card. So you're gonna go use that and then go use the $25 to buy a bottle. Have a good time at home. All right, thank you very much. We end this right now.